Yes. All right. Good evening, everybody. We are going to go ahead and I'm calling this regular Board of Education meeting for the month of May to order. Our vision statement. Every school will be a thriving school that prepares every student to graduate from high school, college, career, and community ready. Before our public comment tonight, we have a resolution that we would like to read. This resolution indicates that the Madison Metropolitan School District supports Wisconsin Assembly Bill 805. Under this bill, an eligible school is defined as schools which participate in both the national school lunch program and the federal school breakfast program for the school year. And for each school day, provides free school breakfast and lunch per request. Assembly Bill 805 or 8AB05 will allow these schools to receive state and federal aid that will reimburse the eligible school an amount equal to the free meal reimbursement rate. So by reading this resolution, the Madison Metropolitan School District Board of Education fully supports the Wisconsin Healthy School Meals for All Act, AB 805. And now Vice President Pearson will read the resolution.
Thank you. Resolution in support of AB 805, Wisconsin Health School Meals for All Act. Whereas the COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent closings of schools for in-person learning highlighted the importance of school meals to keep children fed. And whereas offering universal school meals benefits students and their parents, teachers, and schools, as multiple studies show that students with access to free breakfast have improved attendance rates, perform better academically, have improved participation rates, fewer behavioral incidents, lower suspension rates, and better all health outcomes. And whereas universal meals will reduce financial stress for students and families, and whereas parents and caregivers should not be required to do burdensome and humiliating paperwork to prove they are poor enough to receive free meals or subjected to burdensome debt when they can't pay. And whereas school lunches are an important feminist issue that disproportionately affects female caregivers, impacting their mental energy, time, and finances. Whereas since the United States Department of Agriculture, USDA, extended their seamless summer options that provides one free breakfast and one free lunch daily to all students in our district through 2021 and 2022 school year, the Madison Metropolitan School District has been an almost 100% increase in breakfast served daily, 1,000 to 1,900, or sorry, 1,997 from pre-pandemic. And whereas with the USDA SSO, families may redirect that money is able to be spent on other essentials or spent in the community, thus helping local businesses and cherish Wisconsin agriculture thrive. And whereas if the state passed the and implemented the Wisconsin Healthy School Meals for All bill and continue to cover the cost of free breakfast and free lunch, it would provide much needed financial relief for families, communities, and school districts, and redirect millions of dollars in revenue that could be returned to local economy. And whereas the Madison Metropolitan School District Board of Education, administrators, faculty, and staff believe in ending lunch shaming in the district, and that is not the fault of the child if their caregivers are unable to pay for healthy nutrition, and acknowledge that children learn best when they are well nourished. Now, therefore, it be resolved that Madison Metropolitan School District Board of Education fully supports the Wisconsin Healthy School Meals for All Act, AB 805, so that all kids throughout the state of Wisconsin can receive the food they need to be successful in school, and further work to remove the stigma of poverty that has already existed in the school meals program. And be further resolved that the Madison Metropolitan School District Board of Education calls upon our fellow elected officials to support this act by passing resolutions in favor at the local level, co-sponsoring it at the state level, and advocating for kids across the state to access the healthy food they need during the school day. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President Pearson. And I also want to acknowledge Natasha Sullivan with MTI for working and leading on this resolution in collaboration with our food services staff. Thank you, Natasha. All right, there were no written statements submitted for this meeting. We will now move to online public appearance. Sorry about that, Jesse. Thank you.
Our first public appearance will be Tanya Novinska.
Hi, my name is Tanya Novinska. I currently work at West High School as the building custodian 2. I am here asking for an amendment to the budget to include the custodial staff in the budget, to include us in the $5 an hour raise. As I've stated in previous meetings, we are important to school, the kids in their learning environments. They learn better in a clean and neatly kept environment. They're less likely to destroy property, etc. Now I'm just focusing on West because that is what I'm familiar with. We have 3 shifts across West High School. Between second and third shift, we're supposed to be allotted 106 hours of labor. On a good day, we are assigned, we usually have about 53. That's a good day. That is not counting when people are absent or pulled to other schools because of absences at elementary schools. First shift, they're allotted for 35 hours between custodial and maintenance. And I believe, if my calculations are correct, that is, they have about 19 hours. I want to add that the average house in Wisconsin is 1,800 square feet. West is current square footage is 360,000 square feet. That is equivalent to 200 houses that we have to clean in an 8-hour period with about 6.25 custodians, or excuse, yeah, or equivalent to 6.25 football fields. I want to add that per government standards through the website ceds.ed.gov, they have a level of cleanliness for custodial assigned to square footage. Level 1 is 10,000 square feet. That is generally considered that we can do that in an 8-hour period and have it spotless. Level 2, 1 custodian, 11 to 18,000 square feet. And we can clean this also in an 8-hour period. Level 3, 8 hours. This is cleaning required to ensure health, 19 to 25,000 square feet. Level 4 is generally not considered acceptable. 1 custodian cleaning 26 to 46,000 square feet in 8 hours. Level 5 is not healthy at 47 to 80,000 square feet. We usually fall at about roughly 45. And on bad days, it's more. We need help. We need to attract qualified candidates to this position, and we can only do this by increasing this, our wage, starting wage, and across the board for all of our custodians. And I also want to add that there is an addition to West High School that makes up about 80 to 100,000 square feet. We need help. And this is the entire custodial unit, not just West, all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Cameron Craig.
My name is Cameron Craig. My pronouns are they, them. And besides being a junior at Bell Phillips Memorial High School, I'm also a chronically ill non-binary menstruator. So I like to say I'm basically an expert on what makes a good bathroom. That being said, when I'm at school, myself and those close to me avoid using the restroom by all means possible. We avoid water and food, and also, or just avoiding water and food for many also avoids the stench of weed in the bathrooms, which makes the bathrooms unusable for students with asthma. It avoids the blood that was purposely put on the walls by a student and left there for nearly a day, despite concerns being brought up to staff consistently. It avoids the quotes telling you the calories aren't worth it and a moment on the hips, forever on the lips, or you know what I'm saying, and maybe the cuts are worth it. A majority of adults and teens factor bathroom quality into their restaurant picks, as I'm sure many of you do. But we as students don't have that right in class. And if we do, we must give up on our learning to go down the street to Noodles or Chipotle or whatever else is nearby. Our bathrooms aren't safe for those with respiratory illnesses or those who are afraid to touch one of the stained walls because they could come down with hepatitis. But after a student brought a baseball bat into our women's restroom, it feels like it's not safe for anyone. After a student made a hole in between the walls of our newest gender-neutral restrooms, it feels like it's not safe for anyone. Madison Metropolitan School Board, tonight we are here to beg and plead you to take action. Our schools should, nay must, have an increase in attention towards the restrooms, either by hiring more custodians or implementing more frequent cleanings. For this, we support the proposal to raise custodian pay that was just discussed. We deserve our school staff paying higher attention to bathroom security in a way that is equal no matter your race, gender, or anything else about you. And we rely on you to explain the situation to our staff, to end teachers telling us we took too long to use the restroom because we had to search for a toilet without a used condom resting on it. We're happy to work with you, but it shouldn't be a privilege to pee in dignity. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next person is Mushroom Laddick.
Hi, I'm Mushroom Tech, and my pronouns are they, them. I am a sophomore at Val Phillips Memorial, and like Cameron said, I will be discussing the quality of our bathrooms. Did you know that 1.5 students rate their school bathrooms facilities as fair or poor? While I personally use the female restroom, I would love to use the gender neutral bathroom more often, but I do not feel comfortable in that space. I barely feel comfortable in the female restroom. There is a increase of smoking in all of the bathrooms, and while the kids that do it are nice, I cannot handle that with my lungs. There is also writing on the walls that is inappropriate, and like Cameron gave a few examples, and they're very unclean and unkept. I saw a bathroom stay out of order for a week. A stall stay out of order for a week. And until an event, it took at least a quarter for one of the gender neutral bathrooms to have a working lock, which is not something that should have taken that long. A working lock should have been put in the first place. It is unacceptable to use the bathrooms because many students just avoid them. We rejoice to be given more gender neutral and single stall restrooms, but as the staff restrooms become gender neutral bathrooms, it seems the entire building is facing a crisis, if not the entire nation. The situation is becoming so extreme that VPN students are avoiding eating and drinking in order to avoid usage of these facilities because they do not have access to other facilities during the 8-hour school day. This form of fasting to avoid our restrooms can be dangerous for student health and will harm success in schools. According to No Kid Hungry, can cause a lack of concentration for 80% of students and a decreased academic performance for 76. Because of this issue, these are our demands for the upcoming school year. An increase in attention towards the restrooms at our school by either hiring more custodial staff or improving on implementing more frequent cleanings. Having school staff pay higher attention to the bathroom security in that is equal to people in all communities and increasing the visibility of these issues to staff. I hope we can find a solution together for the safety of my well-being and my fellow students. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Chris Fernandez.
Hello, my name is Chris Fernandez. I am also a student at Bell Phillips Memorial High School, and I am a junior. I am speaking to you expressing my concern about the school bathrooms. As you know, there have been a lot of issues with these bathrooms, such as a bathroom being out of order for a week. And from my experience, I have felt very uncomfortable in I have felt very uncomfortable in the normal bathrooms, and I only feel comfortable going in the gender neutral bathrooms. Although sometimes people like to hide in them to skip class or to vape or other things that I have no idea what they do. And at some point during the year, somebody had lit a trash can on fire in one of the bathrooms. And not that long ago, when I needed to actually use the bathroom, I didn't feel comfortable going into school, and I ended up having to hold it until I got home. That's how uncomfortable I felt in my school. I did not want to have to deal with people in the bathroom vaping or doing unnecessary things such as skipping class or sexual activity. We have some demands. We want increased security around these bathrooms and for students to feel safe again and not have to go to different places just to be able to use the bathroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Theo Pollitt.
Hello, I'm Theo Pollitt. My pronouns are he, it. I'm also here from Bell Phillips Memorial to talk about the bathrooms. As a trans man, I often struggle to feel comfortable or safe using the gendered bathrooms at school. Unfortunately, the gender neutral bathrooms at Memorial are not in good condition. When I attempt to use these bathrooms, they're often occupied by students smoking or doing any number of things. On the occasions when I am able to access them, the gender neutral bathrooms are dirty and uncomfortable. Oftentimes, the menstrual products are not stocked. And as a chronically ill person, the overwhelming stench of weed can trigger migraines for me. When I use the gendered bathrooms, the conditions are often worse, with brown water all over the floor. As students, we deserve safe and clean and accessible spaces to use the bathroom without worrying if we'll be able to make it to class or how much of our education we're going to be missing. Whether or not I'll be able to use the bathroom should not be something I have to worry about at school on a daily basis. Just today, I was dealing with a bloody nose and had to end up cleaning off in the middle of class because I couldn't get into a bathroom after waiting for 10 minutes just to clean the blood off of my hands. We are here to demand cleaner and safer bathrooms because that is nothing less of what we deserve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our final online speaker will be Robert Cohn.
Hello. Hey everybody, my name is Bobby. I use any pronouns and I'm a sophomore at Bell Phillips Memorial High School. I've been guilty of avoiding the bathrooms at least to a degree because every time I try and go in one of the gendered restrooms, I get a face filled with smoke every single time. But it's not just consistent events either. There are also one-time events like the fish in the toilet, some that happened a few times, like a pair of trash can fires, or more than a few, like people stealing soap dispensers, stall doors, or an entire dang toilet. I don't know how they got it out of the school. I don't know how they removed it from the floor, but someone stole an entire toilet. I've also had run-ins with people trying to look under and over the stall walls as a joke. Someone even grabbed my foot one time. People even try and throw things over them. I come to you today to ask for better bathroom stalls with walls that reach from floor to ceiling and for better monitoring of the restrooms. Thank you.
Thank you to all of our online speakers. Appreciate you coming forward and sharing your experiences. I do want to go back and state that there was one written statement for this evening, so my apologies. This was submitted by Jesse Lynn, I believe. And Jesse does not want to speak, but the subject is in support of an 8% base wage. All right, we will now go to Willa Stedman.
My name is Willa Stedman from Lincoln Elementary. I am here today to talk to you about the change to school start times. I don't feel the school start time change is reasonable. One reason is that I've heard that other elementary schools are continuing to start at the current starting time next year. We feel that if any schools are staying at the current start time, it should be the paired elementary schools like Midvale and Lincoln, because students that live across town and need to bus to school have a longer bus trip and therefore have to get on the bus even earlier. This creates problems with safety, which my friend Emily will talk about. With this new time, you're asking students ages 4 to 11 to walk to the bus stop and wait while it's still dark outside. Another reason is that some students have trouble waking up early and might miss the bus a lot. This could have a negative effect on attendance and also parents' schedules when they have to drive their kids to school because they missed the bus, which means that parents also might be late to work. I wonder how many of the board members might have been in this situation before and know what I'm talking about. Finally, I ask that you reconsider the start times and make changes that make sense for children's health and parent schedules. I know that you have already made your decision, but I would ask that you reconsider. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Willa. Next up, Emily Staub. If I said your last name incorrectly, please come up and correct me.
Hi, my name is Emily Staub. from Lincoln Elementary. I'm here today to share my thoughts on the change to school start times. I feel that the change of the school start times is unsafe. There are two reasons why I feel it is unsafe. The first reason I feel the start times are unsafe is that for students that ride buses across town from September to February, kids will walk to the bus before sunrise, making it harder for cars to see them when crossing busy streets. This could make it easier for them to get hit by cars. A child in Reedsburg, Wisconsin, was hit by a car while walking to the bus. I cannot imagine what it would be like to see one of my classmates go through a similar loss. That the second reason is that some students, including myself, have sports activities and don't fall asleep until 8 or 9. If we have to wake up earlier and go to school, this could make it harder for us to focus and learn. It also is dangerous for us to do sports while we are tired. According to Kids Health School age children need 9 to 12 hours of sleep. We won't be getting the sleep we need for our minds to be ready for learning. I will remind you what my classmate Willa told you earlier.
Hey, Emily, you want to pause there? Can you grab your mic just closer to your mouth, please? So we can hear you. Can't really hear you. Yeah, that's perfect. There you go. Perfect. Thank you.
In this decision is in your hands, and I encourage you to consider children's health and safety first and make your choice wisely. Thank you for listening.
Next up is Kempley Frayne. Sorry if I mispronounced your name.
My name is Kempley Frayne. I go to Lincoln Elementary. I heard school next year will start earlier, and I would like to change that. I go to a paired school and take the bus. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes to get to school. I am also one of the many students who like to sleep in, so it will be hard for me to wake up earlier. Thank you for listening.
Next, Dell Underbaki, please.
Still on? Yes. Nope. A disproportionate number of students of color and students without intellectual disabilities are prematurely accepting diplomas without being literate. Wisconsin statutes state the purpose of free public education is to ensure the development of a productive workforce, the creation of an informed citizenry, and social mobility. Wisconsin Statute 118 specifically commissions boards of education the responsibility for students achieving the ability to read, write, and spell as a prerequisite for learning. Wisconsin Association of School Boards believes school boards should require students being promoted to higher grades to achieve.
Hold on one second.
Yes, I could. Okay. Wisconsin Association of School Boards believes school boards should require students being promoted to higher grades to achieve specified levels of competency in reading and language arts. This association also supports a high school diploma representing a specified level of competency in reading and writing. Your association and legislative leaders support local school board control for determining the levels of literacy required to meet graduation standards. It's my understanding that in 2022, less than 10% of our graduates identifying as Black accepted diplomas equipped with proficient levels of reading ability. Only 15% of our graduates identifying as Hispanic exited their public education with proficient levels of reading ability. Less than 5% of our students with disabilities exited with post-secondary transition plans supported by proficient reading skills. According to community, government, and business leaders, this trend is unacceptable. Why can't our future work and steps for continued improvement include a commitment for literacy proficiency before forfeiting educational entitlement? The academic plan presentation highlights co-curricular participation, having a statistically and positive influence on grade point average, high school class rank, and performance on the ACT. Can't these same words be said in support of reading proficiency? Multi-tiered systems of support are identified as foundational for this initiative. How can we reconcile this statement when WestEd evaluators found no evidence of a high-functioning MTSS in our district? As part of graduation policy 3540 and promotion policy 3537 revisions, why can't reading proficiency be added to our list of graduation and promotion readiness metrics? Statute and administrative code language assumes strategic retention as an option for early and pre-secondary intervention. At a recent showing of Right to Read at the Goodman South MATC campus, one of the facilitators, after learning of our adoption of letters training, shared a hope that Madison might be a leader in this fight against illiteracy. Wayne Gretzky reminds us not to skate towards the puck, but to where the puck is going to be. As a district, we can be leaders in this literacy movement and bring a true spirit of celebration and pride back into our high school graduation tradition. Thank you.
Andrea Missarelli.
All right. Hi, I'm Andrea Missarelli. I'm an MMSD graduate, resident, and proud teacher here. I'm here again to talk about staff retention. The HR report last month and today says it all. Staff are leaving at a concerning rate again. Okay, we have to if you pull up the HR report, you'll see a lot of these positions are hard to find. CC teachers, ESL, bilinguals, counselors, unified art positions like tech ed types and other ones that we always have a tough time to fill. We need to retain staff as our #1 priority. Hundreds of MMSD staff, I've heard, are looking for jobs elsewhere right now. Our contracts are due on June 15th, but I know a lot of staff are waiting to see what the board does and where they lead us for the future. At listening sessions, the community expressed huge concern over cuts at the high schools, in schools, especially elective classes. Yet budgeting has cut over 155 staff that's directly working with students, and we continue to keep luxury positions that were made in the last 5 years. Staff have consistently said, we can't keep afloat. We keep doing more and more with less planning time. We need to give staff back planning time on PCT Mondays. Staff can't keep up with the cost of living. We've heard countless staff say their rent's going up $200 a month. We know groceries, gas, everything has gone up here in Dane County, one of the highest in the state, way above the 8% that we can bargain for. Staff can't keep staying if they can't meet their own bills. We keep telling staff we're broke, but we find money to pay consultants and 100 other consent items that I don't have time to mention. Who hurts the most when we don't have our fully staffed schools? The kids. And we know which schools historically and within our district in these last few years who have the most unfilled position, and it hurts even more. It's our low income schools. Retaining staff must be a priority. It must be an equity priority. Please vote on items to show staff that you are listening and want them to stay. Staff's listening here in the audience and also on YouTube, waiting and seeing what you guys are going to do. We can't afford to wait any longer to keep staff. Our students deserve the best education. Thank you.
James Howard. James Howard.
Good evening, and thanks to the Board of Education for allowing me and others to speak here. Thanks to the superintendent. I come to you as basically as a taxpayer, a person that don't have the empirical information that you all have, but come here and speak to you as one of the basic general public taxpayers here in the Madison area. I want to touch on a few points quickly, and I'd like to make a suggestion. Basically, I'm here to support the budget.
Can you bring your mic up, Mr. Howard?
I don't think are you guys having a hard time hearing me?
It's also for the people online as well.
All right, so how's that? So first point I want to talk about and speak on is partnerships. Where have the partnerships gone? I remember over the years and the decades of my being in this hall that the budget has always been about give and take. No one party always gets what they want. School board doesn't get what it wants totally. Any other entities that have vested interests don't get what they want totally. In order for us to have a budget, a balanced budget, we must have some give and take on part of everyone. We typically hear all about inflation today. For me, it's a little frustrating because we've always had inflation. I don't know, over the years, we talked about healthcare inflation. Today, of course, it's in food and all the other areas like petroleum. So it's affecting all the households. So we come to you and talk about inflation. And so that seems to be driving the conversation, which to me is unfortunate. But as a taxpayer, I think it's important to realize that taxpayers also are under the same constraints. And so I'm hoping that referendums is not part of the budget conversation, because we're already operating under operating referendum. We are operating under a basic budget referendum. And so I'm going to urge you not to move too quickly to talk about referendums. I don't think you want to go there because the public taxpayer also has budgets, and a lot of them are living on fixed income. So you should be real careful when you quickly to go to referendum. We have issues of decline in enrollment. That's a very important area that we have to address. You have to address whatever the decline in enrollment issue is. We know we have decline in enrollment for a number of reasons. And I can speak here for an hour on decline in enrollment. Poor treatment of teachers, for example, at 10. Parents not getting involved with their kids. Student behavior. Competitive area schools. Other schools are very competitive. So they're taking our teachers and they're taking our kids. So there's a number of reasons why. So, but I'd like to make a suggestion. The basic point I want to make here is that you need to balance the budget. You need to have a balanced budget. And so my suggestion is that if the state gives you 0 increase, that you have a budget for that. So I'm suggesting that you have 2 budgets. that you pass two budgets. One that talks about a zero increase, and the other one that talks about if the state gives you more than a zero increase. And if it gives you more than a zero increase, you can take that increase and apply it towards teachers' salaries, for example. And but if you get zero from the state, then we all know where we are. But if they give you more than zero, then you have the opportunity to apply that to teacher salaries. So my overriding point here is that you need to balance the budget. I hear that there's something like 70 staff that's on one-time funding, and that's not acceptable. And so I don't have all empirical information. I can just talk generally as a taxpayer, but it's important that we have a balanced budget as you move forward. And again, my recommendation is to do two budgets, one with a zero state increase, and one with an increase that's greater than zero. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Pamela Farrell. Okay, let's go with Adrian Lukindo. Sorry if I messed up your name.
My name is Adrian Lukindo. I'm currently an assistant director at MSCR and a special education assistant at Toki Middle School. I'm here to advocate for the reinstatement of Romari Bennett to the role of an SEA at Shank Elementary. I've known Romari since middle school, and I know that he is a young Black man with a lot of potential. On Monday, March 20th, an allegation was placed against Romari that he has maintained not true. Although these allegations were leveled against him, he completed his shift and returned to work the following days. 4 days later, he was told that he has a pending investigation against him for the allegedly violating MMSD policy. After 2 weeks of confusion, he was terminated on April 7th. I'm extremely dumbfounded and ashamed that this termination happened when other employees were given last chance agreements. Sorry, there's a script to follow, but honestly, I'm just really ashamed that Romari was booted out of the school district when he himself has been here. He's been to Hegel, Toki, and Memorial, graduating in 2021. And for us both being Black students in MMSD, we have seen the lack of representation and the lack of teachers and staff that look like us. So for him to be terminated without any chance to redeem himself over something that is completely untrue is sickening to me. He is really important in this school. Many students have told him this, and others alike. Students come up to him daily, expressing their gratitude for him being there and for expressing their excitement for seeing someone that looks like them. I think that as a district, MMSD has failed a lot of students of color up until recently by not having staff that look like them in their schools. So for Romari and myself to be able to get back into the school district to make a difference that we wanted to see when we were younger, and for him to be kicked out like that, I think it's preposterous. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go with Josephine Lukindo.
My name is Josephine Lukindo. I am a receptionist at Bayview Community Center. I am also here today to advocate for the reinstatement of Romari Bennett, a young Black male with a lot of potential to the role of SEA at Shank Elementary School. I have known Romari for a couple years. He is a person who is kind, considerate, and truly cares about kids. Romari is one of the kind educators that districts across the country and are desperately seeking and desire. Here we have a Black male working at the elementary level, a rarity by any standard. MMSD says that is committed to assuming that educators in the district match the demographics of its students. How can this be realized when MMSD is constantly pushing out, disregarding, and discontinuing people of color so effortlessly in the case of a young Black male? Hopefully, we are all aware that Black students need educators who look like them and benefit from educators who look like them. The racial and ethnic makeup of the educated force in MMSD stands in stark contrast to the racial and ethnic makeup of the student body. Research indicates that educators' demographics may continue the academic success of students of color. It is well known that Wisconsin has the worst achievement disparity between Black students and their white counterparts. Even more so, Dane County has the worst data in the state of Wisconsin. If MMSD is to shift the trajectory for the Black students, retaining staff of color, especially Black staff with endless potential, should be the utmost importance. Now, I am too disturbed to hear that others in similar circumstances were giving a last chance agreement and Romari was terminated. What message are you sending when you treat a young Black promising male differently? Are you saying that the Black male is not worthy of similar treatment? Are you guys saying that the Black male is less than, or you simply not see him? Also, how does that help attract and retain staff of color who would want to work for MMSD when they find out how staff of color have been treated? Finally, the benefit of reinstating Romari far outweighs any interest the district has in meting out discipline. If MMSD is truly committed to hiring, retaining, and developing a diverse staff, it must do more than provide lip service. Actions speak louder than words. In the best interest of MMSD scholars and MMSD stakeholders, I ask that you reinstate Romari to the role of SEA at Shank Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you. Aiden?
Hello, how y'all doing today? My name is Aiden Curtis. I am the site director at Hawthorne Elementary School. I've been working in the district since I was a junior in high school. I'm here today to advocate for one of my staff, Romari Bennett. He was let go from the district earlier in April for some allegations that were made. I'm just here to speak on his work ethic as a Black male in the district. I feel like it's really crucial that we have, you know, like my friend said, we have more people of our skin complexion that are in the district to serve our kids since they're in our program as well. Romari shows up every day, ready to come in, good energy. He's a leader. The kids look up to him. They're happy to see him whenever he comes in. I don't really have nothing written, so I'm just speaking from my heart, and it just doesn't sit right with me that he was let go for something so small in my eyes. Like, you know, so yeah, I'm asking that you guys reconsider the decision that was made, you know, give him another chance because, you know, we're here to fight. He's here himself to fight for his job. So he really wants to be here. So it's like someone else just said we have staff leaving and he actually wants to be here. So if we could just give him that chance to really show that he wants to be here and that he's here to make a change, I really appreciate it. I know he appreciated it too. Thank you.
Thank you. And now Pamela Farrell.
Human decency, a phrase I have heard repeatedly over the last 3 years. When a lack of compassion has been displayed, when bias was clearly evident, and when African Americans, especially males, were pushed to the fringes, discarded, and treated as if they didn't matter. I am here today to not only advocate for human decency, but also to urge MMSD to talk the talk and walk the walk, reinstating Ramari Bennett to the role of SEA at Shank Elementary School. The state of Wisconsin is one of the worst places to live for African Americans. Dr. Jenkins, you once said, "I come at you every day as an African American male. And whatever narrative you've been given about that, you need to try and understand that human decency is bigger than that narrative you've been given." Educational institutions have an opportunity to disrupt and interrupt policies and practices that is disproportionately impact marginalized groups, especially African American males. I was an educator in MMSD for more than 20 years. I am currently one of the associate directors at MTI. So when I say I've seen and heard everything, believe me that I have. However, Ramari's termination is simply incomprehensible. The district has a progressive discipline policy, but it appears that the individuals who are making the decisions are either unaware that it exists or perhaps don't understand sound progressive discipline. If it is the latter, then let me give you some insight. When dealing with problems related to employees' conduct or performance, sound progressive discipline uses the least severe action to correct an undesirable action. Then increases the severity only if the problem is not corrected. Human decency. Historically, individuals similarly situated have been given a last chance agreement. And Ramari, a Black 19-year-old Black male at the time, gets discarded, pushed aside, and treated as if he doesn't matter. I feel this is less about violating a policy and more about perpetuating a narrative. I spoke with educators at Shank who worked with Ramari, and they had nothing but good things to say about him. The building administrator even wrote, "I truly believe you have endless potential." Dr. Jenkins, you stated, the MMSD family recognizes we are in an age where the call for human decency must be heard and followed with actionable steps in the best interest of everyone. Now is the time to walk the talk. Reinstate Ramari Bennett to the role of SEA at Shank Elementary School. When you do that, you will truly be showing human decency.
Thank you to all of our speakers tonight. We appreciate you being present and being online and sharing your experiences with us. And now I'm going to move that the Board of Education approve the minutes from the regular meeting dated April 24th, 2023.
Second, Maya.
Any discussion or corrections? All right. Seeing and hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. All right, that passes 7-0. For board president announcements, we have a few tonight. I'm going to start with celebrating our students. We are incredibly proud of the class of 2023 and all of their accomplishments. As a reminder, as ninth graders, this class of 2023, their high school career was interrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic, with many of our students across the nation transitioning to virtual learning. And then as 10th graders, they continued learning virtually for the majority of their sophomore year. The class of 2023 demonstrated resilience and determination, modeling for their peers how to transition back to the classroom. We congratulate all of our amazing seniors and look forward to celebrating with you and your families at MMSD's upcoming commencement ceremonies. Please visit mmsd.org/graduation for more information about the class of 2023 and celebration event details. Round of applause for the graduates. And to celebrate our staff, this month we celebrated Principal Appreciation Day, which was May 1st, Teacher Appreciation Week, which was May 8th through the 12th, and National School Nurse Day, May 10th. Thank you for everything that you do for our scholars, our families, staff, and community. The board would also like to thank MMSD's building services, custodial and ground staff for their efforts to take care of our schools and facilities. We appreciate these dedicated staff members for the work they do to ensure our school grounds and buildings are well maintained. Let's clap it up for the staff. And no.
Thank you, Andrea. Celebrating our community, the board would like to also recognize the contributions and achievements of Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders as we celebrate Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, as well as Hmong American Day that was on May 14th.
All right, we also have something that we want to do. We have a resolution that we also want to read for Dr. Carlton D. Jenkins. Now, Dr. Jenkins, we know that you are officially retiring at the end of July, but as a reminder to our community, our interim superintendent will be starting June 12th. And so at our next board meeting, our interim superintendent will officially be the sitting superintendent. So we wanted to make sure that we did a proper acknowledgement as we're coming to a close of the year and before we get into graduation season. All right. So the resolution reads, whereas Dr. Carlton D. Jenkins, superintendent for the Madison Metropolitan School District, has wholeheartedly and selflessly served our district's students, families, and staff from 2020 to 2023. Whereas Dr. Jenkins led MMSD through the COVID-19 pandemic, ensuring that students, families, and staff were able to access vaccinations, internet for virtual instruction, food, and continuous health monitoring protocols to ensure that staff and students returned to in-person instruction as safely as possible. Whereas Dr. Jenkins has worked to advocate for and implement programs and practices that will ensure more equity and excellence for all students, utilizing unprecedented governmental coronavirus aid and emergency relief funds in the amount of nearly $30 million from 2020, 2021 through 2022-23, and an additional $42 million in the 23-24 school year. These funds were used to amplify priorities such as the science of reading, early literacy and beyond, the expansion of four-year-old kindergarten, the selection of new elementary and middle school curricula in Spanish and English languages, ACT prep programming, school-based health centers and mental health supports, and the creation of the Madison Promise Virtual School and Village Builders. Whereas Dr. Jenkins' leadership set a far-reaching example of educate to liberate for students, families, staff, and community members, especially for those who have been marginalized in MMSD and the greater community. Whereas Dr. Jenkins has ensured that all facility enhancements from the 2020 referendum in the amount of $317 million are on pace for completion. Now, Therefore, be it resolved that the Madison Metropolitan School District Board of Education recognizes and greatly values Dr. Carlton D. Jenkins' contributions and dedication to MMSD schools. We congratulate Dr. Jenkins on his retirement from the Wisconsin retirement system in July of 2023. Be it further resolved, this statement be permanently imprinted in the Board of Education minutes for the meeting of May 22, 2023. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. And before I hand it over to you, Superintendent, I want to give one quick update for those who may have missed our last. Oh, yes, let me pause on that. There is a video that we're going to play.
I am Dr. Carlton D. Jenkins, and my pronouns are he, him, his. It is an honor for me to serve you as Superintendent of the Madison Metropolitan School District.
When we look and we think about what we want our community to feel like, what we want our schools to feel like, what a better shining example than Dr. Virginia Henderson and the entire family. Wow, did the time go by fast? I wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you for completing your first quarter as an educator in MMSD. Thank you for taking out the time to address the socio-emotional needs of our students as you maintain high quality instruction.
All right, just a couple more things, Dr. Jenkins, before we hand it over to you for the superintendent's update. We also want to take a moment to recognize our general counsel, Sherry Terrell Webb, here at the table today, who has been working for MMSD since 2018 and has a new opportunity. But we want to thank you so much, General Counsel, for all of your support of the board and for the work of MMSD. So thank you so much. We didn't want to embarrass you with a resolution. And lastly, for those of you who may have missed our most recent workshop with our consulting firm to help us lead the next superintendent search, we just wanted to give you a couple of quick updates. So we met on Monday, May 17th, which was last week. That was our very first meeting with Alma Consulting Group. We discussed timelines for the hiring with Alma Consulting Group. And after hearing the pros and the cons to either do a more immediate search or to take and follow a more traditional hiring timeline, the board did decide that we would go with a more traditional hiring timeline. And some of those factors that we considered were wanting to be able to attract the most qualified candidate pool that we could, and also giving the community engagement phase of the work due justice. Like, we didn't want to rush through that and have to do that over the summer and miss a lot of folks. So we will have a website up soon with more details, and we can look forward to the majority of the community engagement starting shortly after the school year begins in September. All right, that concludes board president's announcements, and I will now pass it over to the superintendent.
Well, first of all, I wasn't quite prepared for that. And I really do appreciate it way more than you know. I have much love for Madison, not just being an alumnus, but the city, our students. And can you hear me? Not quite. Is that better? Okay, so I just said, didn't expect that. And I appreciate it way more than you know, because of my just affection for Madison, the university, the city, our students here. And so I have to go back after 34 years in education, right? And I'm not done. I'm retiring from Wisconsin, but I think about the special class of 2020, right? They were the ones that didn't have the traditional graduation. I think about those kindergartners, 2020. Right up there with that class is the class of 2023, because they were freshmen. You know, when you're going through the hormones and all this stuff and trying to figure it out, someone tell you have to go to school virtually. That was tough. So to see where they are today, and to see in the midst of their fight, they have one of the highest graduation rates in the last 5 years. I'm very proud of them, and know there is always opportunity. We had an increase in our National Merit finalists, 28% this year. And I think most people would say the National Merit finalists, they being assessed with students all across the country. And we have an increase in 28% in the highest number here in our area. I think that's pretty decent. But we know by this class, they're not just defined though by standardized tests. And in our conversation with ETS, the Educational Testing Service, we said, what's the other criteria that we need to assess? Because their ability to be resilient, the parents and the community through a historic pandemic. Man, did we come together. They're going to be able to talk about something and bring some richness to our global society, like probably none of us could do. So I'm very excited when I think about artificial intelligence, what they're going to do with it. When I think about things happening in space, what will this class do about it? So I wanted to make sure that I also recognize this particular group of our kindergarten students who are now in the 4th grade. You remember now, they were the ones who brought us back to school. Those teachers, kindergarten teachers, the custodial staff, the administrative assistants, they were the ones who brought us back. So I could not say my remarks without thinking about them first. But with mixed emotions, I'm excited to get to my grandson in Huntsville, Alabama, and do my next level of work, which is about the same thing I tried to do here for 3 years, is just to have an impact. Never have been satisfied with having a job. And for those educators, everybody who work with children, I'd say, if you're just looking for a job, you're in the wrong profession, because we should be about impact. And I wanted to clearly state that being here in Madison has just been outstanding. We've had our share of challenges and opportunities, but I'm so glad that Madison is diverse in a lot of ways. And we seek to be anti-racist. And that's a journey. I still don't understand the definition of being anti-racist. I don't care if I've read Kendi's books or whoever's book. For me, being anti-racist is like what happened the other day when we had the best in my 34 years academic experience for our students and one of our own parents. If She's a scientist at UW-Madison. She led the STEM experience for every first, fourth, and sixth grader that Ms. Green actually planned along with our staff, instructional staff. And when you walked in the room, it was at UW-Madison. Not one kid had a label. It was advantage. Kids were talking about wind tunnel. They were talking about insects. They were talking about space. And everyone there felt a sense of being valued. That's my kind of like definition of anti-racism. But we don't have to pull a kid out to know that. But the reality, we know this. We have to continue to push. The other day I was with the governor, along with some of our staff at Mendota. And basically, the governor, I just tell everybody, okay, I love him. I love the governor. And he said, are you going to stay connected with Wisconsin? And I said, yes, I'll remain on the School of Visitors for the Veterinarian right there at UW-Madison on the board. I'm going to stay connected with Dr. Alex G. as he's trying to do this Center for Black Excellence. The district have, my cell phone is open to Madison forever because I'm an alumnus, I'm a citizen, and I believe in Madison, and I know the breakthrough will come. But we do have some tough times ahead. And just know that you don't go at them alone. I just want to remind everybody just of a few things that we have done in terms of accomplishments, though. Because, and I appreciate it, Dr. McGregory, I had told you that I was going to look at my notes, but you know how I am. I'm going to put the notes to the side. When I think about the collaboration that we've done with UW-Madison on the early literacy part, Dale, I'll always remember you. Because Dale is always talking about graduating and being able to read. That's important. Dale, let me give you another piece of data. 35% of the nation is proficient in reading. We have a crisis, everyone, in America, not just in Wisconsin, not just in Madison. So I encourage us to get serious about the science of reading, the letters, professional development, and follow the lead of our wonderful staff. I said it, and I've said it at a national conference, some of the best educators, not just teachers. I'm talking about SEAs. I'm talking about principals. The best educators are right here in Madison, Wisconsin. So I agree. Let's try to retain who we have. Not just recruit, try to retain. When I think about, as I said, in terms of the outstanding academics that takes place here, our children leave and go and compete anywhere. But some of them go straight into the workforce. And what we're doing with that in terms of trying to have a workforce ready for the articulated skill trades and can pivot to college or whatever else, their next life choice, I believe the place for that to happen is in Madison. I want to thank you, my wife, my daughter, my grandson, the way that you embraced us, the Dane County, the community. I'm forever indebted. And to this board, I want to say thank you for what you've done for me and helping me grow as an educator and as a person. Quite frankly, I was not as fluent with my pronoun until I came back to Madison. I'm just keeping it real. Madison believes you can be whoever you want to, identify however you want to identify, and there's a place for you. So I want to say thank you to the entire Madison community for that, for embracing my wife, my daughter, and my grandson, Bronze. Bronze is a special little guy, but I do not, and we do not say he's gifted. He's just been exposed. And I believe if every child is given that opportunity, every child, they'll be fine. And unapologetically, my next work, I'm looking to impact the country in Black and brown communities that are poor with special needs kids. Any community like that in this country, I belong there. But I'm going to do it in a day's drive for my grandson. And I'm going to be unapologetic about it because I believe urban centers deserve and need individuals who want to do that work, not have to, who want to. So in retirement, that's my fun thing. I'm going to take that on, okay? And yes, I heard you tonight. Human decency. That's what I was born on, and that's what I live by. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, like normal, they're trying to keep me on task. I have a video that I would like for you to see of the STEAM event. I thank you so much, Chair Nichols. All right. I don't know why former chair didn't tell you that you have to keep me like that going. Okay. All right. Let's see the video, Jess.
Oh my, there it goes.
We are at the STEAM fair.
And then you take it out and it should have water in it.
And today's event is a wonderful event because we get to show about 400 different first, fourth, and sixth graders the vast world of science and technology.
I like science when it has more activities to see what you actually can do, and you can make awesome things.
Just like that.
There you go.
You get some poor stuff. We get to I just look around. I like that we get to learn about new things. Woohoo!
Did you see that?
Hello.
We have students, learning all about the different aquatic bugs and different flies that exist here in Wisconsin.
What's the best part? When I looked at fruit flies through a telescope.
So that is part of its head.
5 minutes ago, we saw a cockroach and it didn't try to bite. But cockroaches are kind of fast. I love catching bugs, but not a cockroach. Favorite part was the bug one and the electricity.
Science is like a really, really fun thing because you can just make anything you want.
The world of STEAM and STEM is just so vast that anytime that we can get a group of excited students into a room, touching, playing with things, looking at different things that they may have never seen before, we think is a wonderful opportunity for our students.
Science makes you smarter.
Let's see how high this goes.
Miss McLean, that was our teacher that was standing in front of them. That was a scientist. That's one of our parents. And she said something so powerful to the students, and you should have seen their faces. She said, all of you are scientists. And they grabbed their face. Oh, I'm a scientist. Yeah. And the staff who were there shepherding our children, I wish you could have seen their faces. That's what education is supposed to be about every day. So thank you to all the educators who shepherded our children, and thank you to Ms. McLean and the entire science department, scientists at UW-Madison. Thank you all so much for you.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins, for bringing that little spark of student learning in as your superintendent announcement and celebrations today. And I don't know about the big bug in the video, but that was amazing seeing that student grabbing that bug. Okay, we are going to move on to Board Member Muldrow to give us a report on items that proceeded through the instruction work group.
Thank you, Board President Nichols. I'm sorry, I think I gotta get a little closer. In May, we had an update from Health Services and an update and input on PI 25, the On Track to Graduate plan. We had a timeline for policies revisions of the 3540 graduation policy. In June, we'll be talking, we'll have a Health Services update on the vaccination plan and the vaccine plan. We'll have an update and progress to date on the strategic framework recalibration, and we'll have an update on the BEP policy revisions and recommendations.
Thank you, Board Member Muldrow. We're now going to hear from Board Member Castro on report of items that proceeded through the operations work group held on May 8th.
Thank you, Board Chair Nichols. Good evening. On May 8th, we held a operations work group meeting where we discussed referendum and construction updates, including a sale of a general obligation school building and facility improvement bond for the referendum. We had another update on the 23-24 preliminary budget, and then we received a policy update that will be coming back to us regarding school activity fee waivers. Our next meeting will be on June 12th at 5 p.m., where we will talk about board member budget amendments and finalization of the June preliminary budget. We'll talk about the principal hiring policy, and finally receive an update on school district partnerships.
Thank you, Board Member Castro. We had no action items that proceeded through the instruction work group held on May 1st. We do have an action item that has proceeded through the operations work group held on May 8th. I move that the Board of Education approve a resolution awarding the sale of $105 million general obligation school building and facility improvement bonds, Series 2023.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That passes 7-0. All right, moving on to our consent items. I move that the Board of Education adopt and approve all of the motions set forth in Section 10 of the electronic agenda prepared for the May 22nd, 2023 regular school board meeting exactly as said motions are written. By voting affirmatively on this motion, a board member expresses his, her, or their affirmative vote on each of the motions consolidated hereby, subject to any express separations that have been made by any member of the school board.
Second.
All right. Any separations? Board Member Vandermeulen.
10.18.
Okay, 10.18. Any others? All right, then. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, passes 7-0. Let's go to 10.18. Hold on one second. Let me read the motion. I move that the Board of Education approve an expenditure in the amount of $120,000 to M3 for insurance brokerage services using funding from the fiscal year 24 Human Resources budget. Thank you. All right, Board Member Vandermeulen.
I pulled this. This is nothing against M3, but I would like to look at other options and possibly bid out this contract. I think that although we are in a delicate time, I think that board needs to do some soul searching on how we're going to handle the insurance issue. That's the reason I pulled it, because it is very sensitive. It's a very sensitive situation for a large number of people. And therefore, I think the community deserves to hear what each group can do for us.
Thank you. Looks like General Counsel Terrell Webb.
Yes, that contract, I believe, is up for going out for RFP along with our some of our other healthcare contracts. So that will be coming back to the board in the form of an RFP later in the 23-24 school year.
Thank you. I appreciate.
All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor, say aye. All right, that looks like 6. Those opposed? 1. Motion passes. Thank you. 6-1. We are now looking at other reports to the board. We will start with the City of Madison Education Committee. I can report on that. At our May 10th meeting, the Education Committee went back to review its previous conversations about a name change and what our next steps will be. We also confirmed membership and voting structure for the committee. We got an update from the City of Madison Community Development Division about a grant process that they have out. And they asked us to review some of the grants if we had time. And then we did a quick update on driver's education. We will have our next meeting on June 14th, 2023. Joanna is not here, but Board Member Muldrow can give Student Senate.
Our Student Senate Representative Joanna and a few other members of Student Senate are currently in DC at the Youth Voice Summit. So we are sending them support from Madison to DC. I know that they will represent us well, and I want to thank Joanna for all the work she's done with this board over the course of this last year. And then the elections for Student Senate are currently happening, and we will find out at our next regular board meeting who the new Student Senate representative is.
Awesome. Thank you. And I believe we'll have an opportunity to give our thanks and farewell to Joanna, I think at one of our upcoming work groups. I'm not sure. Right, Jesse? Okay. Okay. Madison School and Community Recreation Advisory Committee.
I am finishing on the MSCR Advisory Committee. We have not met. Our next meeting is June 21st.
Thank you. And then I know Board Member Mosner Feltham will be, you will be taking over on the MSCR Advisory Committee. All right. Thank you. Policy Committee.
Thank you. So good evening. We continued our work with Neola. We discussed our school fee waivers this month, and we'll talk about the hiring policy for principals, as well as graduation policy next month. We're scheduled to meet May 31 on how we will continue that work amid some transition with legal counsel.
Thank you, Board Member Castro. Board Governance Committee, Board Member Simkin.
The Governance Committee received several responses to our request for quotes for board governance training. We did not receive the responses in time to discuss them at our April retreat. And so we're currently looking for a time to bring this information back in the near future.
Thank you, Board Member Simkin. All right, other business. I move that the Board of Education dissolve the Safety and Student Wellness Ad Hoc Committee. The board received the recommendations from the Safety and Student Wellness Ad Hoc Committee at the February 27th, 2023 regular Board of Education meeting.
Second, Maya.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Are you up? Okay, thank you. That passes 7-0. Okay, the next other business item is listed as board amendment discussion. I don't see anything uploaded here in board docs. Does anybody know what we were supposed to do here?
I'm not sure. I know that we're going to talk about submitted amendments at the next operations work group.
Okay, does anybody object to us holding that discussion until the operations work group on June 12th? Board Member Muldrow.
The only question I have around amendments is that usually we're given kind of a timeline with which, is kind of the best time to get our amendments to Ross before we vote in June. So I guess at this point, we're getting pretty close to June. What is that timeline?
What I do remember is that Mr. McPherson did ask for board members to submit any amendments by May 26th, I believe. But Ross is indicating yes. And then, do you want us, and then the practice is usually that your department, Mr. McPherson, will then do some of the cost analysis around each amendment that was submitted, and that will come back to us at the June 12th operations work group. Is that correct? Or do you need to speak to anything else? Okay, Board Member Muldrow, does that answer, or do you have more questions?
No, I guess I appreciate the reminder that the expectation is that we have the amendments in the next couple days. So thank you for that reminder.
All right, then we will have that discussion in full at the June 12th operations work group. All right, I don't see any other old or new business. Well, look at that. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn. Who was that?
So moved by Nikki.
Okay.
Second by
Nikki.
Maya.
Right, all those in favor?
Aye, aye.
All right, thank you all. Adjourned.
Have a good night.